want to discuss illegal immigration because that's controversial and you may not get reelected. So lay off that. Just ignore it. Pretend it doesn't exist. Okay. And there they go up for reelection, and you get the same people in office doing nothing, doing the same thing, which is doing nothing, year after year, term after term, and it's that's what did it. I felt someone had to bring national attention to this issue and force it into the public square for debate, very vigorous debate and very aggressive debate, and get the problem solved. I've succeeded in that mission 100-fold. I could quit any time, but really I don't want to, because I see the same thing still happening despite doubling the Border Patrol, despite promises year after year, speech after speech, term after term. We are going to fix this problem. We are going to enforce our laws. It's all baloney, and the people are sick and tired of it. And I'm not just one whiner out there. I'm one of tens of millions who are very aware now of this issue. And there are going to be a couple of 100 million who are going to be aware by next May when I launch Operation Normandy, that's going to actually dwarf the size of the original Minuteman project, which was only 1,250 volunteers covering 23 miles of Arizona-Mexico territory, border territory.
How do you recruit members?
Word of mouth, talk radio. Television appearances, emails. This one has taken off 10 times faster than the first one. We've gotten over 2,000 responses of people who want to go to the border, and that's in 3 weeks. We've got one group, Texas, Shannon McGawley's Texas Minutemen, who's jumping in with 800 volunteers for that month. Plus, he's doing ongoing operations along the Texas border. He's been doing it for years, ever since the Minuteman Project. He was part of that, and a very, very reputable leader. Militias are jumping in, and this is not about me being a leader like Eisenhower was when he led the charge on Normandy. It's going to have the same effect of that Normandy had against the Axis powers. This will have the same effect against the Axis powers that have taken up residence in the Beltway. Yeah, sorry, guys and gals up there, but to us, you're like a bunch of goose-stepping Nazis who can't really think anymore, so we have to do it for you.
But Jim, just going back to what you were saying about President Eisenhower and the invasion on Normandy, he had the full power of the government behind him. You guys are basically saying, hey, listen, the government can't do the job, so we're going to do it for you.
Welcome to the 21st century revolution. I just coined a new phrase.
Yeah, right here on this show.
Right up there with 21st. That's right up there with 21st century slave traders. I think I got that one too. Anyway, this is what it is. And in the spirit of our founding fathers, I'm combining one of the greatest generals in history who orchestrated the largest armada and troop movement in a military operation in the history of the world. That was Normandy. That was the beginning of the end of the Axis empires that were trying to destroy the world. Well, hopefully I can make this the beginning of the end of the lawlessness and the reckless disregard for the rule of law that we as Americans, taxpayers, some of us who have fought valiantly in our wars, and some of us who have lost our children in wars for this country, deserve. We deserve a better representation that we're getting, and it's time we got it. So let's declare this the 21st century American Revolution.
Jim,
that being said, it is a bloodless one. In the spirit of the Founding Fathers, we're using the First Amendment, which gives us supposedly the irrevocable right, and that's in question. We're no longer, do all Americans have the irrevocable right to free speech, especially on any campus in the country? It's very dangerous to exercise free speech without getting your clocks cleaned, and that's a shame, but that's the way it is. This is an exercise of free speech. It allows tens of thousands of Americans to bring their grievances forward on the border and simultaneously at each of the 51 Mexican consulates that are scattered throughout the country for 30 days to bring our grievance forward. I blame Mexico for this. I blame almost every member of Congress for this, and certainly every president since Dwight Eisenhower for this calamity. It's not fair to me, to you, or your audience, or to any American.
You would think since the horrific events of September the 11th that the borders would have been much more closely scrutinized and the immigration laws enforced to the T. You had an increase with the Homeland Security. You had the Patriot Act. You had this, that, and the other thing. So since the U.S. Border Patrol, who does a good job, considering the amount of territory they have to cover, the number of agents they have, why doesn't the president just take the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Coast Guard, whoever, the members of Homeland Security, put them on the border?
Oh, he could. He probably could get a lot of support from that. Certainly from the Republicans and many independent voters out there, but he would get no support from diehard Democrats and race-baited Democrats like Louis Gutierrez, and I really feel the guy is a racial supremacy for the Hispanic population in the country. I really do. I remember when he had the Brown Berets block me and my Minutemen, about 20 of us from hearing his speech in Pomona, California years ago. The Brown Berets, that's equivalent to the KKK or the Black Panthers.
Right.
They're a very ugly group, a violent group. And he used them for his security. That's like, never mind. I was going to try to make a comparison with the Rolling Stones using the Hells Angels for their security.
Let me ask you this very delicate question, and I'm going to be very careful how I ask it. Do you think that based on the present racial structure in Washington, that this has a major part to play on the open door illegal immigration policy that we're seeing today?
Yes. That was a quick answer. Yes. I felt that recently, probably pretty much. It's been very obvious to me over the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. There is a dedicated effort by certain people in power,
yes,
whether it be business, the agribusiness, the Service Employees Union International, the governors of certain states, not just the border states, but Massachusetts, Michigan. If I'm correct, I believe the Michigan governor is supporting this, let's take care of everybody in the world except our own. Mm-hmm. And it all goes to this one point, Rob. Our politicians really are lusting for the prospective votes of millions of illegal alien families. Yes, millions of families, not millions of illegal aliens, but millions of families who are illegal aliens who will, in short order, be granted a prompt amnesty. We'll have to wait 5 years for citizenship. We'll be granted that, and with that comes voting rights. Despite their aversion to pledge any allegiance to the USA, that doesn't matter. What's important here is for the Democratic Party, followed lightly by some arrogant members of the Republican Party, to get as many voters in this country by any means necessary, including usurping the rule of law, which is what's been happening for decades. And it's really gotten to the breaking point now where it's so obvious. And it's all about increasing market share. And it's coming from primarily the Democratic Party. That party is lockstep in unison with crashing our borders, stamping out all borders until they have enough people in here that they can literally vote into office, every single office in the country, from dog catcher to president, a Democrat, who will in turn appoint a Democrat to every bureaucracy, who will in turn hire a member of the Democratic Party for every agency to work for them, who will in turn vote for them in the next election. We will have essentially a one-party system under the guise of a constitution that was usurped, its meaning was convoluted by the breaking of our laws and nothing being done about it, by literally importing tens of millions of illegal aliens into the country to be prospective voters for the Democratic Party. And there are Republicans just as responsible, but I can guarantee you the Republicans are not going to get the vote of illegal aliens who have been amnestied. It's all going to the Democrats. We essentially will, for the first time in the history of the United States in this 21st century, devolve into a one-party system just like China, and it's called communism.
Therefore, democracy dies.
Yes, and your freedom of speech. Do you think it's bad to get freedom of speech at Columbia or Harvard, where I've been banned after appearing there? They decided they didn't want me to ever show my face on their campus again, because everything that I've told you is hate speech, according to them. That's hate speech. I call it freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. I can't even have that. That is certainly, so I can see our civil liberties eroding, not just gradually, they're eroding pretty fast, and this will be the crushing blow. Also, I think President Obama does harbor some racist revenge tendencies, and I just made that up. What is it? There's something about him that tells me he wants to get even with the Caucasians in the country, who have essentially kind of run everything since the founding of the country. Now, I'm sure I'll be called a racist for this, too. I don't care. I'm saying what's on my mind. I really feel that he wants to morph the demography of the United States to dilute Caucasians and have more non-Caucasians come here, which is why he effectively has enforced immigration laws against Canadians, Brits, Irish, Germans, Finnish people, so on and so forth, Australians, New Zealanders, but has a wide open red carpet welcoming anyone from Latin America. Go figure, or from China and the Philippines. And there's something about that bothers me. It does. And maybe I'm just jumping the gun here, but I really think subliminally we have a racist president whose racism isn't all about the supremacy of African Americans. Not at all. It's the supremacy of all other colors over the Caucasian.
Jim, stand by. We've got to take our final break. Jim Gilchrist is my guest, theMinutemanProject.com. We'll be back. Don't go away. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at WhenTechFails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com.